In my sophomore year of high school, I watched the movie Food Inc. I was passively aware of the climate crisis, but this film brought the environmental impact of the food industry to the forefront of my mind. I became vegetarian and started learning about sustainability from all the media I could find. When I returned to school the following September, I noticed with horror the absurd amount of trash created in my school cafeteria. Disposable trays, plastic cutlery, and over 100 pounds of unwanted food filled dozens of trash bins after every meal. This issue weighed on my conscience, but I didn't feel I could do anything about it until over a year later. At the beginning of my senior year, a gift from a teacher changed my perspective. One of my favorite English teachers told me that a long time ago, one of her students had ordered 8 recycling bins, intending to start a recycling program at the school. Unfortunately, they had only just arrived. Since I was the new president of the Earth Club, she wondered if I would want them. I accepted. Suddenly, I possessed 2 giant cardboard boxes brimming with potential. At the end of the day, I opened Google to see about a recycling program near my town. A compost company popped up instead. Curious, I decided to call them, and I was transferred to the manager. She was incredibly supportive and enthusiastic from the very first time we spoke. With the help of community members from the Rotary Club, we sorted through the trash created after one lunch period at my school and discovered over 60% was compostable. I went straight to my principal and proposed the idea of a school compost program. He gave me a skeptical, defeated look. High school students hardly conform to existing rules. How would I ever convince them to sort their trash? He said I could do what I wanted, but he didn't want to be involved. After my principal gave me permission, Winton Compost Works and Wenatchee Rotary Club agreed to donate a weekly pickup service, opening the gateway for the project to succeed. I bought compost bins using the Earth Club budget and removed dozens of extra trash bins to condense disposal into 8 waste stations. I got a lot of pushback on that one. Custodians were afraid that in the absence of 32 trash bins, students would throw their waste on the floor. Fortunately, that did not happen. From November to January, my Earth Club advisor and I spent every lunch period setting up and monitoring the waste stations, reminding students what to put in each bin, replacing the bags, and dragging heavy bags of compost outside. I also recruited volunteers with limited success. Most of all, we sorted stinky, soggy food out of the trash and put it in the compost. It was disgusting, but in those rancid bins, I found fulfillment. Composting is one of the beautiful planetary cycles we have become distanced from in a society where we are relieved of the responsibility to return waste to the earth. When I was running around the cafeteria with my trash tongs, like some sort of sweaty, ridiculous tooth fairy, I thought about how every banana peel and half-eaten burger would become rich, nutritious soil. That soil was sold to local farms and used to feed people in my community, instead of rotting in a landfill and releasing greenhouse gases. When we compost, we mend the cycle of growth that has been sustaining life for millennia. I fell in love with this circular vision of the world, and it motivated me to do my part to make it come true. Throughout the first couple months, I worked with school administration and staff to make very gradual adjustments. Usually, the adjustments began with a passing conversation with my principal, in which I casually mentioned any obstacles I came across. He usually responded with something like, "Oh, that's just the way it is." With that dose of encouragement, I turned to my kitchen staff. They were also interesting to speak with. I heard the school possessed a supply of durable lunch trays in storage from before the pandemic. When I asked why they weren't in use, the kitchen manager informed me that they had lost too many trays to students throwing them away or stealing them. In her experience, it simply wasn't worth the effort of distributing, collecting, and washing the trays because the students were just too disrespectful. Around Christmas, I was losing hope. The constant labor during my supposed lunch break exhausted me, and I began to doubt if my project would ever become permanent enough to outlast my time at the school. But after winter break, something miraculous occurred in the minds of the staff. Suddenly, the custodians started emptying the compost bins instead of me. Not only that, but my principal started helping me sort trash during lunch. The custodians allowed me to decrease the waste stations from 8 to 4. This led to less plastic bag usage and allowed me to speak with more students to help them sort their waste. The most surprising development of all came when I least expected it. The kitchen staff broke out the durable lunch trays. With these in use, our volume decreased by almost half. When proposing my ideas to higher authorities, the most common answer I received was that the students were incapable of adjusting to change. They told me about lunch trays being stuffed in garbage cans and food thrown all over the floor. But when administration finally gave the students a chance, I witnessed remarkable flexibility. Most people had never thought about their waste before. They were hesitant and flighty when I first had them pause to sort compostables and trash. But by the end of the year, I barely had to intervene at the waste stations. They would look at me for approval, and I would congratulate them on a job well done. Young people are flexible. Adults get a little more stuck in their ways, but even the staff at my school came around with a little time. Now, over a year later, the program lives on, and my school has diverted thousands of pounds of compostable waste from the landfill. A multitude of obstacles exist that make sustainable practices difficult in public schools. But so many of these obstacles are only in our minds. The staff at my school feared change. They thought the way the cafeteria worked then was the only way it could function. Change is always possible if enough people come together to break the cycle of waste. We stand in a stream of systems created and perpetuated by humans. As citizens of an industrialized country, we can remain bystanders or use our privilege to plant our feet against the current. I began this project with an idea, but the mobilization of my community made it a reality. Thank you.